Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a very exciting project for me. I have been anticipating this introduction for such a long time because I've been dying to do this project. So this is a project that I am starting this year. It's something of my own creation. I'm calling it my Big Fat Eyeshadow Project, which is a play on the My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And it's basically just a project that entails a lot of eyeshadows. It is a project where I want to kind of minimize my collection. I want to end up doing a declutter at the end of the year. I want to get to know my palettes. I want to get use out of my palettes. And that's all going to kind of fit into this project. I also want to add in a low buy for eyeshadows in this project because I've been doing a beauty budget for the last couple of years, but I am stopping that this year because I feel like I've curbed my spending on most categories apart from eyeshadows. So I'm going to stick with my no buy rules only for eyeshadows this year, and I am very much inspired by Laura from Laura Force. I will of course have her link down below. She's doing a eyeshadow bank, I think she's calling it, and I'm very much inspired by that. So I will talk about that in the first section. Or should I do the first section? Yeah, I think I should. I will talk about that first in the video, and then I will talk about the second part, which is the getting use out of my eyeshadow palette. So before jumping into all of that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So like I said, this project entails of two parts. Well, kind of three, but two parts for now. And the first one is my eyeshadow bank, which is going to be my eyeshadow low buy. And I am, again, very much inspired by Laura, so check out her introduction to her project if you want to get more inspiration too, or you want to see where I got my inspiration from. But basically, I'm structuring mine in a very similar way to how she's doing it. So yeah, I'm going to talk you through everything. So basically, I am on a low buy where I'm earning points in order to spend on eyeshadows. And before we had like, for every 1 point, I can spend that on one beauty product, even if that's like a palette, or 10 singles. That's usually been my rule when it comes to eyeshadows. And that didn't really matter how big the palette was, anything like that. But I'm changing that again this year. So I'm going to put in a rule for spending that one eyeshadow equals 10 points. So I need to earn 10 points in order to buy one single eyeshadow. So if I want to buy a 10-pan eyeshadow palette, I will have to earn 100 points before I can buy that. If I want to buy one single, I have to earn 10 points in order to, buy that. Two singles, 20 points, and so on. So each individual pan of eyeshadow is 10 points. So that's kind of my spending rules. Nothing else of that. I can buy anything that I want as long as they follow those rules. And then the way I can earn points is basically for different accomplishments. So first up, we have, if I hit no pan left behind on a palette, that is 1 point. So I have, I think, around 50, 55 palettes in my collection. So in total, I could earn, obviously, 50 points from that. So that would be like 5 eyeshadows. Then I have pans. So if I hit pan on something, that is also 1 point. So I have to hit 10 pans in order to earn one eyeshadow. So that will also take probably quite a long time, but I do want to be quite strict with myself this year. So 1 pan equals 1 point. If I finish a shade, however, that is 5 points. So basically, that means that I have to finish 2 eyeshadows in order to buy 1 eyeshadow. So being very strict this year, I think it's going to take quite a while to get some points in, but that's fine. And then the last way I can earn points is basically for uses. And every 10 uses that I have on one singular eyeshadow equals 1 point. So if I 10 uses, that's 1 point. If I get to 20 uses, that's another point. 30 uses, that's another point, and so on. And that is per individual pan as well. So, if I have a palette and I reach for the whole palette 10 times, that doesn't count. I have to reach for one specific shade 10 times, and then that is 1 point. And that can basically keep rolling for however long. And I think that might be the main way that I'm going to hit points, because obviously I'm also going to do a pan palette. And I'm hoping to use a lot of shades in there, like 20 times a month. Although that might not be possible with the rest of this project. We just ought to see how it all unfolds. But I feel like I need to do this project anyway because I do want to just get to know my collection more. So those are the ways I can earn points. So again, no pan left behind, hitting pan, 10 uses, or finish eyeshadows. So yeah, that's the way I can earn and then spend obviously 10 points is equal 1 eyeshadow. That's the main rules of the project, nothing too complicated. And every month I will report back how many points I've earned and how I've earned them. So that is kind of the main rules. Secondly, or lastly to mention, is that all eyeshadows that I bring in will be calculated into this rule, even if that is gifts, even if that is like PR. Not that I'm getting much PR when it comes to eyeshadows and stuff like that, but if I do, that will still calculate into the beauty budget. So, you know, if I ask for a gift or if I get a gift of an eyeshadow palette of some sort, that will count. And obviously when it comes to gifts, I will allow myself to go into the minus for them because, you know, especially my boyfriend, he likes buying me eyeshadow palettes, which is really, really sweet. And, you know, I might get a palette sent to me from one of my subscribers, which I'm so grateful for. I'm currently working on the logistics. I will share that when I get that palette. But, you know, stuff like that are kind of unforeseeable points. So because of that, I will allow myself to go into the negative for gifts, but I will not allow myself to go negative for things that I buy myself, if that makes sense. So those are all the rules for my no buy or low buy, I guess. I don't know how much that means I will get. I have no idea how many points I will earn a month. You know, if I can earn like an eyeshadow or 2 each month, that would be so good. But again, we're just gonna have to go and see. So that is the first part of the project. Again, a bit of a low buy, and I will have more to talk about each month when I start earning points. Also, let me know if you want me to tell you what I've spent. Not that I'm gonna hopefully buy too many eyeshadow palettes, but if I do spend eyeshadow points, should I share them in here or should I share them in a different video? I feel like I want to include them in this video as like a outgoing. But yeah, that is the first part. So the second part of the video is going to be somewhat 1 week, 1 palette. I'm going to do it a bit uniquely. I'm going to do it differently, and I'm going to talk you through all the rules. But basically, I do want to get more use out of my collection. The main goal for doing this is because a lot of my palettes have a lot of use. I have a lot of pan in my collection. Maybe not every palette, but I have a lot of pan. Some palettes are super used. Some of them have like 1 pan. Some of them, you know, I haven't gotten pans at all. But the thing is that I don't know what palettes I like as a standalone color story, and, you know, because when I reach 5 shadows, okay, let me reformulate. So when I reach 5 shadows, I usually reach for whatever padding and then whatever I'm feeling. So I might reach for, you know, 5 different palettes in one look. I might reach into my singles, things like that. So I'm always opening different things. I am very rarely creating one look with one singular palette, and that is kind of what I want to change, because I love my eyeshadows. There's nothing, you know, that I want to declutter necessarily from looking at them, but I want to start using my eyeshadow palettes more and start realizing how I like them as standalone palettes, because I'm sure that I have so many duplicate shades in my collection that I can start narrowing down my eyeshadows, or eyeshadow palettes rather. So this project basically is just another way of looking at them as standalone palettes and using them that way, which, you know, a lot of people probably already do that to their collection, but because I am such a stubborn panner, I always open up several palettes when I do looks, with very few exceptions. So the rules for this project is that I'm gonna roll in 3 palettes per month. And obviously that's not going to be quite 1 week, 1 palette, but it's because I also want to include my Project Level Up palette as one of those 4-week palettes. So I will kind of recap that briefly in this video, but the main update for my Project Level Up will be in that update, which I am introducing my Project Level Up in a couple of days. I think it's going to be like in 3 days, something like that. I think it might be 2 videos after this one. I can't remember, but it's going to be up soon. So 3 palettes will be introduced in this kind of project, and then the 4th will be from a Project Level Up. So that is 4 palettes per month, and then the remaining days between each update I will just use whatever else that I'm panning. So because the Project Level Up palette is randomized, I'm going to handpick the palettes in this project just because I want to kind of go for what I'm feeling, and also because I want to have like an even out color story. I don't want to have all neutral palettes. I don't want to have all colorful palettes. I don't necessarily want to roll in like a super wintry palette, like cool tone palette in the middle of summer, things like that. So in this project I'm going to handpick, but the palettes for my Project Level Up will be randomized. Also because I am panning so many other things, I am going to do a Panda palette, Project Level Up, this project, anything else, Panda's eyeshadows. So quite a lot big eyeshadow projects. And because of that, I obviously can't use like a palette exclusively for the whole week. but I do also want to get some decent use on it on its own without mixing in any other shades. So for 1 week each month, I will focus on one particular palette. So again, 4 weeks out of the month, I will focus on the different palettes. I will rotate them through. I'll see how I feel, but I will update you each month on when I used each palette and so on. But for each week, I do have some stipulations. And each palette that I work on for that week, I need to reach for as much as I can, but I need to create 3 looks exclusively with that palette. So 3 out of the 7 days, I need to exclusively use that palette. The other 4 days, I want to try to include the palette as much as I can and use it in collaboration with everything else that I'm panning. But I want to have 3 standalone looks. And again, it's because I do want to get into the mindset of using my palettes on their own and getting to know the color story as well. So again, 3 standalone looks. I will share with you what I do for those looks in each update too. I will try to take photos if I can as well, or videos or something like that, just to show you what the looks turn out, but 3 looks per palette. And then at the end of the month, or for each update, I will go ahead and I will rank the palettes that I worked on. And I have a few different criteria when it comes to ranking, so let's go through them as well. For the ranking, I have a maximum of 20 points per palette, and the point system is 5 points per category for the following categories. The first one is color story. So how I like the color story, how unique it is, how inspired I am by it, things like that. So that is the first rating. Then we have 5 points for versatility. And what kind of looks can I create from it? Does it give different looks each time? Did all 3 looks turn out the same? That kind of stuff. That is the second ranking. Third ranking is quality. Does the eyeshadows perform? Do I like the quality of them? Do they work well? Blend well? All of that kind of stuff. And that is the third category. And then the fourth category is just personal ranking. How do I personally like the palette? Is it something for me? The color story might be really, really fun. The quality might be there, but it just might not be a color story that I'm personally inspired by, or that personally fits my skin tone, my style, everything like that. So those are the 4 rankings. And again, I will rank each palette every month and talk you through how many points. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I, at the end of the year, want to look through all of my palettes, see what was ranked the highest, and maybe look through what has the lowest ratings. I will see what the cutoff point is later in the year when I start ranking things. So I'll look through where everything falls, and everything that is kind of on a lower ranking, I will look through and I will potentially declutter those palettes. So that is going to be the second part of this project. And the goal for this whole project is just to keep the palettes that I absolutely love. Again, I have so many eyeshadow palettes and they all kind of drawn into each other. I use them, I reach for one shadow, I might pan a specific eyeshadow in a palette and I reach for that one 20 times, but then the rest of the palette I neglect. And I just want to see how I like palettes as a whole more, because, if I'm panning an inner corner highlight, that inner corner highlight might perform beautifully. And I might keep the palette around because I was like, oh, that's a pretty palette. That inner corner highlight there worked like a charm, but the palette itself might not be for me, and those shades might be really repetitive. And obviously, an inner corner highlight that I might like, I will most likely have it in a different palette too. So that is the reason why I'm doing this project for at least 1 week, 1 palette. And then the second part is obviously to minimize my eyeshadow purchasing, and that is why I'm introducing the low buy. So that was a lot of rambling, a lot of rules, but I wanted to be very clear with what this project is going to be about. But next up, we're going to move into the exciting part. I'm going to share with you what 3 palettes I have picked for my 1 week, 1 palette kind of part of this project, and I will talk you through my options. So the first palette that came to mind when I pulled out palette for the first month of the year was this palette right here, which is the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. I have been dying to reach for this one again. It's such a beautiful color story for winter, and it's also such a nice palette. I already know that I love this one, so I want to start off with a bang. And I'm really, really excited to play with this one. It is absolutely beautiful. It has so many kind of cool toned pink leaning shades, which is right up my alley. I will insert swatches as well so you can see what the palette looks like. But it has some beautiful, special kind of sparkly eyeshadows, good array of loads of mattes, and beautiful shimmers as well. I really, really love this palette, and I know that already, but I'm excited to play around with this one as a whole and get some looks just using this palette and not as an accent palette. So that is the first one that I'm introducing, which I think is going to be perfect for this time of year. The second palette is one that I'm rolling in because I know that I'm going to use this one for the first week of the year. So when you're watching this video, I'm gonna be on my way back from Sweden. So I went to Sweden for Christmas, and I'm probably gonna, depending on when this goes up, I think this goes up on the 5th. I think it might be back at this time, but I'll probably be absolutely knackered because we are driving to Sweden, which is probably over 20 hours traveling with stops and everything like that. And yeah, it's gonna be like, I think 18 hours driving altogether. So a long trip. So I'm probably going to be absolutely knackered when you see in this video. But the reason why I am introducing this one is because this is a good palette that I think I'll be able to use with my family and for that first week of the month. And that is the Natasha Denona Mini Nude Palette. This is a new palette to me. I have only swatched this palette yet. I got this one end of last year. And it's just such a beautiful color story. I've been dying to get this palette for ages, and I picked this one up in like a beauty box last year, and I think it's going to be the perfect palette to bring with me as an accent palette to use for the first week of the month. So that is the second palette, and again, it's just such a perfect palette when it comes to shade selection. It has 3 shimmers, 1 really light, 2 medium kind of, 1 slightly deeper, and then 1 kind of decision shade and 1 deep enough shade. It's everything that I need, and I'm really excited to play around with this one. I'm not sure how different the looks will be with this one that I create. Obviously, I need to create 3 exclusive looks with this palette, but you know, that's all going to come into the rating when I do the versatility, but I'm excited to play around with this one. Then the final palette is probably the one that I am absolutely most excited about, and this is obviously going to be, it's going to come and pass when this video goes up, but when I'm filming this one, it hasn't happened yet. So I'm still very excited about it, and that is Christmas. So what I'm rolling in is a palette that I've been lusting after for a long time, and it became available again in November, and I picked it up. And that is this palette here, which is the Christmas Eve palette from Odin's Eye. So this one is such a beautiful palette. It looks like this on the outside. The artwork is just so stunning. I can't believe that I'm holding this one because I've seen so many people talk about it. And I was sad that I missed out on this one last year. I was thinking of picking it up, but I was like, oh, I don't need more eyeshadows. But this year I didn't make the same mistake. So on the inside, this one looks like this. I haven't even swatched it, as you might be able to tell, but it still has the plastic wrap, by the way, of plastic film. But this is what it looks like on the inside. It's such a beautiful color story, and I think it's going to be perfect for winter. Obviously, it is a Christmas themed palette, but I didn't want to wait the whole year to reach for this one until Christmas next year. So I thought I would roll this one in January when we are still in winter, because I think this is still a very appropriate palette. So it is absolutely stunning. It has a mix of blues, greens, kind of goldeny shades, just more kind of cool toned in general. And then it has an array of absolutely beautiful shimmers. It is half shimmer, half matte. And again, I haven't swatched it while I'm filming this one, but you will see the swatches on screen. And yeah, I'm just really excited. It has some really textured shimmers, and seems like it's 1 multichrome in here too. And yeah, I'm just excited overall to play around with this one. So that is going to be the 3rd palette for this month. So I'm just popping in here quickly. I'm on a different day. I'm actually filming this on the day it's going up, because I realized when I was editing this video, and I'll pre-film this before Christmas, but I realized when I was editing this video that I have missed a section in this video. So I mentioned there's 2 sections to this video, but it's actually 3. And the 3rd section that I want to add into this video is actually a project created by Dora. I will have her link down below. Her YouTube name is Fuchsia Soul, I believe. But she created a project that she's going to do this year. She already posted her intro, but I felt like this was an amazing project to join, and that is called Expand Those Pans. This project basically is just a way for you to continue working on your pans, and she told me that she wanted to create this project because a lot of times you work on eyeshadows and you hit pan on them, and then you kind of just leave them in your collection and you work on other things. But this is going to be a way to continue working on eyeshadows and just continue expanding those pans rather than just leaving them once you have hit that goal. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I think a couple of people are joining in, but I'm not sure how exactly everyone is doing it, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And how I'm doing it is obviously part of this project. And as you've seen, I have included my 3 palettes that I want to focus on in this project. So I'm going to take 1 eyeshadow from each of the palettes where I've hit pan already, and I'm going to use that eyeshadow 5 times over the month. So obviously this month I picked these 3 palettes right here. We have the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette, which it was brand new when I rolled in. I have been using it because, again, I have pre-filmed this video and I'm filming this section later on. But this one I have no pans in. The Crimson Sea palette is also a brand new palette. I haven't reached for this one yet because I'm currently still in the first week of this project. And then we have my Rose Quartz palette, and this one I do have a pan in. So the pan I have in this one is the shade right here called Quartz, I believe. Yes. So that one I do have pan on. So currently for this first section of the video, I only have one eyeshadow eligible for this part of the project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this eyeshadow in, and my goal would be to use this eyeshadow 5 times. However, if for future months I have other eyeshadows with several pans in them, so let's say I had several pans in this palette, what I would do is I would just randomly select one from this palette, and same with the other two. So anytime I do have a palette with pans, which makes it eligible for this part of the project, I will go ahead and randomize an eyeshadow from the ones that I have pan on, and I will work on that one to use 5 times. So that is going to be the third and final section of this video. Again, I will have Dora linked down below, so you can check her out if you want to have some more information on her project. I do believe she also looked up other people who have done similar projects, and she found that Emily from Emily and Max had done something similar called Clean Your Pans. So I want to mention that as well. I will have Emily linked down below as well with her Clean Your Pans series, so you can check out both of them. But that is going to be the final section of this video, so let's jump back into what I've already pre-filmed. And that, you guys, is going to be it for today. Just looking at the palettes, I'm foreseeing myself using the Natasha Nona palette first, like I said. And then I think next I'm probably going to reach for the Odenside palette, and then third, the Huda Beauty palette. And then I guess as well we'll see where my Product Level Up palette falls in that. But somewhere in between I'm going to roll in my Product Level Up palette too. But again, that is going to be it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of this whole concept and this video idea. I am so excited to be doing this. I've been, again, dying to make this for a long time. And I know it's going to be quite hard keeping this up in collaboration with everything else that I'm doing, all of my other panning projects. But I am overall really excited. So let me know again what you think. And if you want me to add any additions to this project, if you want me to change anything, give me all your feedback down below. Obviously, this is the first introduction to this project, so it is going to be a bit of trial and error in the beginning, but I feel like I got it down pretty well. I feel like I made my goals for this project very clear, and I'm excited to follow along. But I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.